So then we are back with more understanding from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage of the second son of Ibrahim. So then, from the viewpoint of then the future, and from the viewpoint always, every time understanding the holy section of the Creator and the relationship with the first person coming from the Quran, absolutely unquestionable. Then, when we branch away from the Holy Quran and we understand the objectives of the second son, and we understand the time of tabernacling. However, during the time of this period where then the restoration and reduction is taking place, and speaking from the Gentile level, what should we be doing as a nation? Not regarding tabernacling at the moment, but then regarding Gentile level. How should we treat this Gentile level in our country before then the holy plan of tabernacling? Because as we understand, then tabernacling and the worlds, these are then obviously lined up, because we understand many areas of the instructions the Creator made then the worlds. So the whole situation is lined up then for the time of the autumn feast. As far as the Gentile world or the Gentile worlds, this means there is the understanding of heaven. This means also the understanding of the earth. But then when you read the scripture, sometimes when you understand then the spring feast, then those were selected for the transitional time from the world related with the tabernacling and also world's level at the same time, as they went into the Gentile world. So you understand the worlds. But then the substance of the worlds, those are then the planets, versus then what we understand as then tabernacling. So then from the Gentile level we understand then the world, because each nation can be considered as, in quote, some sort of the world of their own. That's why then when we read then those people they set apart, they went into the Gentile world, meant then obviously in a general understanding, speaking of then same references or similitude from nation to nation as Gentile world. What should we be doing as a nation? Lots of speculation going on as far as how we should produce our electricity, how we should then revitalize our industry, what we should do with them. There is a lot of junky companies trying to get and suck money from the government via high technological smart grid. Is it feasible at the moment? No. Those people are lunatics. They're trying to push expensive products where we don't have to have those expensive products. We can certainly then produce electricity via coal. It's the cheapest way of producing electricity. What do we understand from the scripture regarding the environment? Should we go around throwing trash in the ocean and the rivers and the such? No. We should gather them up and then recycle. In worst case, then, when people don't have the privilege of garbage then taking from their homes, then they should burn it. Should we be concerned with the environment worldwide? We should, but limited. Educating people how to take care of their trash, how to dispose of it, should not be thrown around, should not be thrown in rivers, should not be thrown in the sea. gather up. If they don't have then a facility then to separate the trash, they should burn it. However, in terms of a nation and the other nations, can they produce electricity using coal? Of course they can. It's not for us be concerned with this understanding of, oh, because it has to be environmentally friendly. No, the planet's going to be destroyed. We have roughly 20 years, not even 20 years. We are below 20 years. And we are not even counting then the reduction of time. So the time is very short. Those who are enlightened, there is no time of playing around. Oh, should the people take care of the environment? In terms of, not using gasoline or not using petroleum, not using then diesel or fuel oil. Should try to stay away from nuclear because it's extremely expensive. A welding of a nuclear power plant in certain areas can cost as much as $100,000 for a welding. Do we have the luxury of time and expenses of paying for this? No. Should you use pulverizers? Much easier. Use coal. Double filter it and let's have electricity in the grid. It doesn't have to be smart grid. It can be standard. Standard cables, standard posts, or then the electricity posts. Standard. They go over there in the midst of the forest, they cut away, those trunks over there, they treat them and then stick them on the ground and put some cables on top. As far as the smart grid, it's not required. Regular clock, for instance, from GE from 50 years ago, very reliable, never goes bad. Stick those then near the house and it's done. It's quick, it's simple. But then comes the government, comes the companies, scoundrelizing each other. Oh, smart grid, smart grid, smart grid, and the job doesn't get done. Then come these crazy lunatics, nerds, with, because of this special cable. Then it doesn't have to be special cable. We got around years back with the standard cabling. Doesn't have to be special cable. Standard. You produce electricity via coal. Pulverize the coal, mixes then in a huge furnace, burns it, turns to steam, and powers then the turbine. Generates electricity, goes to a step-up transformer, and then power lines. When get to the towns, then drops down then the voltage through the transformer and goes to your home. There is no complication with any of it. These nerds and crazy people, they are making complicated to get the most of the system where we don't have the luxury anymore of. Doesn't have to be smart system. Reading of the clocks can be the standard because it's the most popular, the most quantity available, and very reliable. And providing more jobs, obviously, because then the state can hire more people to go over there and read the clocks. It doesn't have to be smart. You read from right to left those numbers, and then you have your consumption of electricity. Then you get back to the department, they put it in the system, and then charges you for it. It doesn't have to be nuclear. Nuclear is expensive, takes a long time, produces garbage. To get rid of the garbage, it causes more trouble than only using a double stack of the coal power plants. People have to start thinking, okay, a power plant nuclear is very clean, but then when those rods are spent, the liquid over there, then you have to start making holes in the ground to store those. And then if they leak, then it's a disaster. What has then instructions has then given us. We shouldn't be concerned with this much of technicality. The planet is going to be destroyed. Should the people throw trash in the ocean? No. Should they be throwing trash in the rivers? No. Should they throw trash around? No. They should gather them up and burn them. And the best is to burn trash in a huge furnace so then you can use the heat, converts then into steam and powers up then the generator. Even trash can be burned and produce electricity. But playing around with these crazy nerds of the electrical system, those people are crazy. They are PhD certified crazy people because they complicate so much and they forget what was easy. Typical example, you used to work for a company in the past, didn't know how to make a copy of the existing resistance test of the equipment. They were unaware of the resistance test. This is how the whole level of people certified and they don't know beans about it. You ask these people, you think with a PhD they know what they are doing? They don't know. Be courageous and ask questions. They won't answer you because they don't know. They only have a piece of paper where they hide behind. Generating electricity is extremely simple. Coal is the best. We are in shortage of electricity. We have to then increase our industry. But then we have to eliminate these nerds trying to complicate the system, and then the grid does not improve. Because of these crazy people making delays and making delays and making delays, coal is readily available. Only use a double filter on the stack over there and it should be enough. The rest of it is stupidity. We can only update existing system when the system is provided with what is required. We don't have it anymore. Yet these companies coming together and the government is so stupid. The government, they are so inept that they have used our resources to build caves as their homes. This is how crazy they are. You know, acting like ostrich. This is how our government is doing, acting like an ostrich. What else can we say? They don't understand the Holy Scripture. They don't understand the instructions. Then they are from the time of the scandalization, 1,000 years of deceit. Then they build themselves holes in the ground and they stick their heads in there. That's where our government is at. USA government, US government acting like an ostrich. And then the reality is absolutely contrary. But then we have to get busy. We have to update our tax code. And then Mr. Bernanke over there from the federal government has come up with a system and deducted taxes from every transaction where there is earning. So they can update the system. And then generate electricity. We have plenty of coal. It's not expensive. The coal power plant is somewhat cheap. Double stack it and it is more than enough. But then the government, how are you going to talk with an ostrich? Let's ask a question. Can an ostrich make decisions? No, an ostrich, when an ostrich is threatened, puts their head in a hole. This is what the government is planning for the future. So how are you going to explain a simple situation? You have to get mineral coal, you have to make powder out of it, and then you spray in a huge furnace, burns it, heats up the water, goes through the turbine system and generates electricity. Then goes through a step-up transformer and goes through the line. What is so complicated? Could we make the system analog? Of course. But then the government gets in the midst of it, and then these nerds coming around, because of technology and smart grid. They are stupid. They don't understand the basics. It's not required such a high level of technological situation when we don't have the basics in place. What about the regular people doing the everyday work? They turn on the light and then where is the electricity? Was the Super Bowl some time ago? No electricity in the grid. Where are those nerds speaking of, I specialize the cable, smart grid, and blah, blah, blah? They're ridiculous. Come on, get some power plants over there, some coal. Nice, huge trucks coming in, coal, pulverize it, burn it, and then produce electricity, and then done. Substations analog are extremely simple. These days we could build so many of analog substations cheap. We were able to get by from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s with not very much electronics. But then we come to after 2000, then the whole situation simply crawls or then ceases because of this stupid PhD. The more PhD, the more stupid these people get. And take care of the basics. Coal power plants, those are the best. We have coal in abundance, and we produce electricity. As far as the environment, we have to deal with it. And then extracting petroleum, more perforations around, and use what we got. We can take care of the environment as these people are trying then to block the steps of formation of the future. They can't block it without having a substitution. So get out of the way then. So then as a nation we understand this is obviously what is going to be in the future in terms of then producing more electricity in order to revitalize our industry. Plain and simple, analog system. It doesn't have to have computer. Because the situation is interlinked, it doesn't have to be. Humans can do the work. An analog system in a city can be easily linked with an analog system of the other city and can remain analog. It doesn't have to be computerized. Computerized system is those were used only to mesmerize and making complex, so then people get lost. There we are in shortage of electricity. We have coal, we have the raw material, and then they don't do it. But how are you going to talk with an ostrich? Please stay tuned and make sure put your head above the ground.